Welcome, Aquarius. Welcome to the realm of astrology. This is your monthly horoscope for the month of June. But before we begin, I want to let you know that I'd also do daily horoscope videos, weekly horoscope videos, monthly horoscope videos, and monthly sun sign and rising sign horoscope videos. You can watch them here on my channel or on my website called www.realmofastrology.com. Also, please hit the subscribe button. Alright, so let's get started. Before I talk about June, I want to mention that as we enter June, we are in between eclipses. There was an eclipse on May 26th, and there will be an eclipse on June 10th. And this period between eclipses is extremely powerful, it's extremely potent, it's destined, it's karmic. Events can happen that are karmic and destined, and things in your life can speed up during this period. Also, you can receive information, insights at this time that are extremely valuable and can be life changing also. So that's the energy as we enter the month of June. Now, let's talk about June. So, the first thing I want to mention happens on June 1st, and it is the Sun and North Node conjunction. The Sun and the North Node are meeting up, and this is let me tell you where the Sun is before that and what that means. The Sun right now is in your fifth house, which means for the past 11-12 days or so, it has been illuminating, bringing to light, shedding light on areas of romance, pleasure, hobbies, creativity. Those are the areas that are shining bright in your life and will continue to do so for the next 20 days, Aquarius. And wherever the North Node is, it's right here. And whenever it meets a planet, in this case the Sun, it energizes it. So areas of pleasure, hobbies, romance, creativity will be energized in your life. And the North Node also will energize your soul, your identity, your consciousness, who you are. And this happens on June 1st. So throughout the video, you'll hear me talk a lot about romance, pleasure, hobbies, creativity for you, Aquarius, and that's simply because there's so much energy. There's so much energy in your fifth house. The planets are very close together, which means the energy is very focused on one area of our life, and for you, that area is romance, it is hobbies, it is having fun, pleasure, creativity, creating things. Even the stock market is the fifth house. So I thought I'd mention that before I go on. And now moving on to June 2nd. Two things happen on June 2nd, Aquarius. And the first is that Venus is going to change signs from your fifth house, which is Gemini. It is going to enter your sixth house, which is Cancer. Okay. And for the past 20-25 days or so, since Venus has been in the sign of Gemini, it has enriched, it has made you more receptive to and given you gifts and blessings connected to romance, pleasure, hobbies, creativity. And now, till June 27th, it will give you gifts, blessings, and it will make you more receptive to matters of health, of your job, of your day-to-day routine, of your diet, nutrition, exercise as well. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the last quarter square of the moon, okay, which is when the Sun and the Moon make their last 90-degree angle before the new moon, which will happen on June 10th or 11th. Okay, and what is this moment? This moment here is about letting go. And what are you letting go of, Aquarius? You're letting go of the new moon that happened on May 11th last month. Okay, something connected to that you need to release, you need to let go of, and this process of letting go is subconscious, it is very subtle. And for you, that new moon, which happened in Taurus, happened in your fourth house. It happened in your fourth house of family, foundation, of your deepest emotions. So on May 11th, you began something, you seeded something connected to your family, connected to your home, connected to your roots, connected to your deepest emotions. And now you're assessing what about those things that I began then can come with me to the next month, which will begin on June 10th. What do I need to leave behind? Okay, and this process can last the whole week. It's subtle, it's subconscious, like I said. So that's June 2nd. All right. Now moving on is the eclipse. Now this happens on 10th of June. It is a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Gemini. Okay, what is a new moon? It's when the sun and the moon are together. It's going to happen at 19 degrees of Gemini, and when they are next to the nodes, it becomes an eclipse. Okay, and we have a new moon every month, which is a new beginning, and the energy lasts for about a month. But an eclipse is special because the energy of an eclipse can stay with us for at least 6 months, even years at a time. And eclipses bring with them karmic events, they bring with them destined events, they bring with them pieces of information and insights, and they can really change our lives extremely powerfully. So, and a new moon solar eclipse, as it is on June 10th, is a new beginning. So, this is a powerful new beginning. It is a destined new beginning. It's going to stay with you for at least 6 months, and it is happening in matters connected to romance, to love, to pleasure, to hobbies, to children, to creativity. Those are the areas that this new beginning will take place, where you're going to sow the seeds for something on June 10th or 11th, depending where you're at. So that's June 10th, and on this chart, I'm going to talk about June 11th because two important things happen on June 11th. Let me clean up the chart and then we'll talk about it. So this is June 11th that we're speaking about. Now, the first thing that happens on June 11th is that Mars will change signs. And that means from your 6th house, Capricorn, it's going to enter your 7th house. For the past 40 days or so, it has been reinvigorating, re-energizing, replenishing matters connected to your health, to your job, to your day-to-day routine, habits, exercise, nutrition, diet, all these little things. And now it's going to go into your 7th house and replenish, reinvigorate, re-energize matters connected to your relationships, to your business partnerships, to your marriage, and to legal issues. And it's going to do this for the next 40 days or so. And the second thing that happens on June 11th is that the Sun and Mercury retrograde meet up. And this could mean that you receive a message of sorts, an insight, a realization about the past. Okay, and this could be connected to, again, romance, love, pleasure, creativity, children, all these areas. So that's June 11th. And now moving on to June 14th. This is the most important astrological event of the year, and it is the Saturn Uranus Square. Okay, a 90-degree angle between these two planets. Now, this is extremely important, and this will stay with us all year, this energy, and even next year it will stay with us. I'll tell you what the energy is in a moment. But before that, let me also tell you this energy that we're experiencing this year into the next year is a rare energy. It happened last time in the year 2000. So after 21 years, we're seeing this happen. Okay, and before we get into the square and what that means and what that demands, let's talk about Saturn and Uranus a little bit, because I want to give you a context as to where Saturn is in your chart and what it's doing, and where Uranus is in your chart and what that's doing. So Saturn is in your first house, Aquarius, as you can see. And Saturn stays in a particular sign, which means a particular house, for about 2.5, 3 years. And for you, that's the first house. And wherever Saturn is, the goal of Saturn is to put that house in order, to put matters of that house in order. And for that, you have to work hard, you have to be disciplined. And Saturn doesn't reward you immediately, it rewards you later. But the key with Saturn is to put in the work, okay? And for you, Saturn is transiting your first house, meaning you have to work on yourself. The first house is you, it's your identity, it's how you present yourself to the world, it's how the world sees you. That's what you have been working on since December of 2020 and will continue to do so for the next 2 years till 2023. Okay, so that's one. And two is Uranus, is in your 4th house, and it's been here since I believe 2019, give or take a few months. And it'll stay in your fourth house for 7 years. So it's a slow moving planet. It moves very slowly. And what does Uranus want from us? It wants us to be who we actually are, authentic self. And it will break anything, get rid of anything that's preventing you from coming into your own. Or it may even bring things into your life that will help you be you. And this process can feel unexpected, it can feel sudden, because that's how Uranus is. And it's also everything new, Uranus. And for you, that's your fourth house. So Uranus has been doing this in your home, in your family, in your foundation, in your roots, and your deepest emotions. It's been changing them up so that you can be you. And when these two planets square, as they are right now, and they come exact on June 14th, this energy is about getting rid of old things, old structures, old thought patterns, old anything, and embracing the new. And it's also about finding out your authentic self and being that. And for you, Aquarius, the transit will highlight you, your identity, who you are, how you present yourself to the world, even your appearance, and matters connected to your home, to your family, to your foundation, to your roots, to your deepest emotions. These are the areas that this transit will highlight for you, Aquarius. Okay, and that happens on June 14th. Now moving on to June 17th. What's happening on June 17th? It is the first quarter square of the moon. It is when the sun and the moon make their first 90-degree angle after the new moon. And this is the process where we may face some obstacles. Okay? Connected to the new moon that happened on June 10th and 11th, wherever you're at. And that for you happened in matters connected to hobbies, creativity, pleasure, children, romance, love. So something that you began, you seeded, you may need to make an adjustment on June 17th connected to that new beginning on June 10th. And this process again can last the whole week. That's June 17th. Now we're going to talk about June 20th for a moment. Okay. So June 20th, two things are happening. The sun will change signs. For the past 30 days up until June 20th, it has been illuminating matters connected to love, romance, children, creativity, hobbies, pleasure. And now it will enter your sixth house and illuminate matters connected to your health, to your diet, to your day-to-day routine, to your job, to habits, to all these little things. So that's one. And the second thing that happens on June 20th is that Jupiter will go retrograde. Now let's talk about Jupiter a little bit, Aquarius. Jupiter is the most benefic planet of the zodiac. It brings with it gifts, it brings with it blessings, it also brings with it healing of some sort, but it also brings with it lessons. Okay, and Jupiter stays in a house and a sign for a year almost. And it comes into a particular sign after 12 years because that's the Jupiter cycle, almost 12 years. So for the past 1 year, Aquarius, till May 13th, Jupiter was in your first house, meaning it was blessing who you are, your identity. It was giving you gifts connected to these areas, even your appearance. All first house matters, it was blessing, even leadership. And on May 13th, it left your first house and came into your second house, which meant that now it will start to bless you in matters of self-worth, values, skills, monetary possessions, finances. And this will last the whole year, but on June 20th, Jupiter will go retrograde. And when Jupiter goes retrograde, yes, we still receive the blessings, but they may slow down a little bit as well. But the lessons that we need to learn with Jupiter, they ease up. The pressure lifts off to learn. Either we've learned the lessons by now or we haven't. And this is a review period where we look back and say, I learned that lesson, great. Yeah, I learned something, or I didn't learn something. And yes, it is also the time where the work we put in when Jupiter was direct, the lessons that we learned when Jupiter was direct, we start to see the rewards of that come to us. And this is connected to your second house, which is self-value, self-worth, value, skills, finances, monetary possessions, as well as your first house, which is you, your identity, your leadership, your appearance, how you present yourself to the world, how the world sees you. So that happens on June 20th as well. And then moving on to June 22nd, Mercury is going to go direct on June 22nd. Give me a moment. Yeah. Mercury in your chart is in your 5th house of romance, love, pleasure, hobbies, creativity, children. And when Mercury goes retrograde, we review things. Our minds cannot function the best during this period. And it has been retrograde since May 29th, I believe. And things slow down a little bit. Communication slows down. Gadgets can malfunction when Mercury is in retrograde. And now on June 22nd, Mercury will come direct, which means if you've had any mental fog connected to 5th house matters, love, romance, hobbies, creativity, children, that'll begin to ease off, and the review process connected to these areas will also stop. And now the direct movement in these areas of your life, the forward movement in these areas of your life will begin again. And if you've been facing communication issues in love or romance, that will also begin to move forward. Now, moving on to the next event is the full moon in Capricorn. Okay, it happens at 3 degrees of Capricorn. 3 degrees of Capricorn, okay? And what is a full moon? It's when the sun and the moon make a 180-degree angle. They're opposing each other. And this energy can feel stressful because the sun is our identity, it's our consciousness, it's our emotional body. And the moon is our emotional body. And when they oppose like this, it can feel stressful. But a full moon also brings with it completion, endings, culminations, release points. It's also the brightest night of the month, which means we can see things clearly at this point. And what are we seeing, Aquarius? We're seeing two things very clearly. The first is the new beginning that happened on June 10th or 11th with the new moon solar eclipse in Gemini. And for you, that was connected to love, romance, children, pleasure, creativity. So now whatever began for you, whatever seed was sown on June 10th, you're seeing that clearly. You're able to see, yeah, this is what happened back then, and now it's culminated in a way. It's not ended, but I understand what it is now. And the second thing goes back to Jan of 2020, so a long time. And in Jan of 2020, a major event took place, okay? Saturn and Pluto, they met up. And they meet up rarely, once in 33 to 38 years. And when they meet up, they change things. They end a cycle and begin a new cycle. And for you, Aquarius, that change happened in your 12th house. Let me clean up the chart and then talk. It happened in your 12th house, okay? So, yeah. The 12th house is the house of the subconscious mind. It's the house of spirituality. It's the house of the higher realm. It's also the house of drugs, deception, delusion, lies, addictions. And the 12th house is also the house of the past. So I believe when Saturn and Pluto met up in your 12th house around here, 22 degrees of Capricorn to be exact, it changed in a powerful way your subconscious thinking, your spirituality, perhaps the past ended in your mind, Aquarius. Okay, something along these lines. And the 12th house is not very visible. It's a very important house, but it's not very visible. So the change for you happened more internally, I would say, in your internal being. And why I bring that up right now is because that changed what I just mentioned for you. And in Jan of 2021, that change sort of became complete. It became more visible. It became more real, rather. And now on June 24th, with the full moon in Capricorn, we can actually look back. You can actually look back, Aquarius, and say for certain that yes, this was the change that took place. So that's what you're seeing clearly. And for you, Aquarius, this is happening in your this full moon is happening in your 12th and 6th house, which means matters connected to your subconscious mind, your spirituality, connecting to the higher realm, addictions and drugs if they apply to you, as well as matters of the sixth house, which is connected to your job, your health, your day-to-day routine, your diet, your exercise, will be illuminated as well. So that's June 24th for you, Aquarius. And now I want to talk about June 25th. So I'll talk about that on this chart as well. And it's connected to Neptune. Neptune is a planet that can either bring with it a lot of confusion and haze and fog and an inability to see things clearly, or it can help you connect to the divine, to the higher realm, help you cultivate universal love and compassion, and it can be the most magical feeling in the world. So it really depends what it is for you. And Neptune has been transiting your second house since 2011, which means either you've been confused or the matters connected to the second house have helped you connect to the higher realm and develop love and compassion. And what are those matters? Those matters where you may be confused or where you may have grown are self-worth, value, skills, finances, monetary possessions. And now as Neptune goes retrograde on June 25th, the confusion, if you have any, in these matters will begin to ease off. You'll be able to see things clearly, and it will also be a review period. It will also be a reward period if you have done the Neptunian work, which is about cultivating universal love and compassion. And the last thing, Aquarius, happens on June 27th, okay? And on June 27th, Venus is going to change signs again from your 6th house, which it has been since June 2nd. It is going to enter your 7th house, which means it is going to start blessing you, giving you gifts, make you more receptive to matters of your marriage, of your relationships, of your business partnerships, and legal issues. So that's the astrological horoscope for you, Aquarius. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it helped in some way or the other. And the reason I gave you the details of where Neptune is and where Uranus is, although they're slow moving and have nothing really to do specifically with this month, is because these planets influence the long run themes in our life. Yes, astrology changes moment to moment, but certain themes can last for years, and it's because of these planets. And it's good to know what those themes are and where we are putting in the work and what is required of us. That being said, I'm going to pull a card for you, Aquarius, for the month of June. We'll go with this one. Okay, this came out in another reading as well. It's chaos and conflict. And there might be some chaos and conflict, Aquarius. There might be some confusion that you're facing, and you might need to resolve it. Yeah, that's the energy. And why is it saying chaos and conflict for you? I really don't know why it's saying chaos and conflict for you, Aquarius. I think there's some confusion that you're feeling. And I think it goes to Saturn. It ties into Saturn. You can't see the chart right now, but Saturn's in your first house. And the first house is the house of you. It's your identity. It's who you are. And I believe when Saturn's transiting that, it's changing things up in that area of your life, and it's pertaining to you. So maybe there's some chaos and conflict for you there that you need to resolve. That's the only feeling that I'm getting. If there is a chaos and conflict for you, Aquarius, it's connected to who you are becoming, how Saturn is changing your identity, your appearance, how you present yourself to the world, and how the world sees you. Perhaps you're still unclear, and that's okay, because Saturn's been here for what, 6 months? It will be here for 2 more years, and I'm sure by that time you will figure out yourself. So that's the month of June. Perhaps in the month of June, you'll actually figure out what you want and who you are and your identity, and a little bit more, because it's only through chaos and conflict that we can actually, say, okay, this is what works, this is what doesn't, this is who I am, this is who I'm not. So that's the energy for you, Aquarius, for the month of June. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if it was helpful in any way, to send it to your Aquarius friends, hit the share button and send it to them. And if you enjoyed it and it helped you, to hit the subscribe button. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.